Welcome to episode 11 of Simple Ken. What's different? My goddamn special came out. Everyone's happening. It's a special episode because it's a few days after the release of my special on Netflix. The most interesting person in the room. I have died saying that full name for 2 years, and now it's finally over. And it was trending on Netflix, and the comments have come in, and everyone's happy, and the world is a wonderful place again. I can't believe that it's. I think we shot it in October 2019. And now it's what year is it? It's 2020, and it's what month is it? It's May, right? It's still May. Today is what is today's date? I have no idea what's happening actually in life. Today it's June. Today is 1st June. This is actually worrying. I didn't know it was 1st June till I checked. Also, I don't have chai today because just 5 minutes before filming, a full cup of chai was dropped right here. This goddamn lamp. It's just me. It's my fault. It's a shame. It hurts my soul when I waste chai. The whole room smells of chai now. This is why that studio didn't have. The studio didn't allow hot drinks in the studio. Makes perfect sense. If it was water, this room wouldn't have smelled like chai. So yeah, guys. My special came on, guys. Can you comprehend what's going on? My special is out. I don't know how to feel because it's like so many years of work, put together in one compact package of 67 minutes. That 67 minutes took so much work, and it's a part of you that you have given and it won't come back. I know it sounds very lame, but it's very special because it is a special. I don't think you understand. It's almost like letting a child go, because I'll never do the jokes again, because once you do the joke once, you can't repeat it. So it's almost like you see it and it's like a time capsule of 2.5 years of your life. It's pretty cool. I'm so happy with you guys flooded me on Instagram, and you guys' messages were very sweet. And I think after the special, I just realized that I got all the joy from it already. It's already on Netflix, and my friends and family love it, and my audiences love it, and that's all there is to it. And anything beyond that is not real, right? And I have to constantly remind myself that most of social media isn't real, but most of it is also real. It's this weird dichotomy of life. And speaking of this dichotomy, our first question for this episode is about a huge conflict, which has nothing to do with me, which is by PrinceB_FML. Hey Kenny, what do you think about the whole YouTube versus TikTok trend? And you have to choose between them, what would you pick? By the way, congrats on the 10th episode of your recording. Love you. I love you too, PrinceB. I will choose TikTok. Why? Because TikTok loves all, while YouTube is just being stupid. And I am on TikTok, and I had this whole conflict everyone's having right now. I had a couple of years ago where I did not like content on TikTok, and I was like, oh man, what's on it? And then it hit me that that's exactly how my parents' generation talk about YouTube and our music and anything we do. And I'm like, oh my God, I sound like my parents' generation. And then it hit me, it's a generational thing as well, and communal thing and political thing and socioeconomic thing. It's quite complex. It's not as simple as an app is better than another app. It's way more than that. TikTok is very democratic, so is YouTube. But YouTube has community guidelines where people decide what is okay and what is not. And I think TikTok's community guidelines aren't as strong. So I think certain objectional content floats around on it, but so does a lot of objectional shit on YouTube. On YouTube, I think most of the harmful stuff, if it's below a certain number of views, the community never flags it. So that way, the really weird stuff. I mean, the whole Logan Paul thing. Logan Paul's video where he filmed people who have committed suicide in that forest. That was up for a while, and then it got taken down. And then YouTube had this massive, like, what do we do? Freedom of speech, community guidelines. And I think TikTok is just that, man. It's people who want to create, let them create. And if you don't like what's being created, I think the same group that's creating should decide what goes and what doesn't go, which is YouTube community guidelines. I think so. It's as simple as that. What people are saying about each other is so nasty. But I think we are the stupid people who watch it. Whenever, just a pro tip. Whenever two people are arguing online, the only one benefiting is both of them. So if you troll someone or if you praise someone, nothing happens on the internet. No one gives a shit. But if you troll someone, they are getting publicity. And as I said, most of the internet is not real, especially Twitter opinions, because while we are fighting for rights and stuff on Twitter, I'm sure something has some good has come out of Twitter, but trolling and arguments really doesn't benefit anyone except the people who are being spoken about. When this whole Carrie and whatever TikTok thing happened, in my head, I thought Carrie had planned this whole thing and I thought he was a genius. But then I found out that he really felt bad. And even the other TikTok person, I thought if they were both in cahoots with each other, and I was like, it's genius. You guys do a pretend fight. I'm kind of predicting something I'm going to do soon. But it's like you pretend to fight and then you let the whole world watch you fight. And then the audience is promoting both. That's why if you notice, most online smart influencers, whenever someone roasts them, they always make the point to roast back, because that mileage you get from the audience thinking you're fighting is far more valuable than any positive. Okay, let me give an example. I think something happened with Kusha as well, where someone had roasted her and then she put a response out and both are trending. I think Kusha is benefiting most. It's like, it's good, capitalize on it, because none of it is real. Like, and if you realize that, then you can surf it. You can surf the hate. You can surf the discussions online. Can you believe there's a pandemic going and we're talking about TikTok and YouTube and roasts and stuff? It's incredible, right? Because if I had a product and I want to market it and I want people to talk about it, if I just marketed it, you can't compete with pandemic and global deaths and disasters and riots. But if you do a hate thread about TikTok is worse or YouTube is worse or this person is bad or this person is not good, that actually gets traction. People go out of their way to tweet. And so just be aware, like every time a conflict happens on the internet, those both are benefiting the most. It's like, I learned this from Ricky Gervais and Chris D'Elia. When I follow Ricky and Chris on Twitter, and it struck me, whenever Ricky retweets someone who hates him or trolls him, I love those tweets and I love to read what he says. And I just love the fact that he's retweeted all his haters, right? And then once he didn't retweet and he had written some positive thing where he's like, I'm very glad that my show is doing well. And I was like, who wants to know this? And then I was like, oh my God, I get it now. I am bored with the positive stuff. I want to see the hate. That's when I realized that my Twitter, my Instagram is full of, I'm not saying you should just start hating now, but it's sad that I don't know why humans are attracted to hate. And, like, it's enjoyable to watch someone else being hated on, but if it happens to you, it's terrible, right? But you will still do it. And then it happens to you and you feel like a victim. And you're like, man, this is so sad. But you have done it yourself to someone else, right? So it's very bizarre. It's very interesting, but bizarre. 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 I can still smell the tea. Okay, so Parv Mittal has a very heavy question. I don't have the answer to this question, but I'll answer it. I mean, bring it up anyway because I think I want you to see how I'm going to figure this out, because this is such a heavy question and it's obviously beyond me. Hey Kenny, I've realized that people around me are homophobic and I don't know how to deal with it. Homosexuality is considered a taboo by some people still. How can I be comfortable knowing that the people around me think like this? This has got like 185 likes. So I guess you guys also want this to be highlighted. And a lot of you are very sweet and have answered Parv on how to deal with it. First of all, Parv, I am not homosexual and I am in a circle where my friends are not homophobic. So I can't even imagine what you're going through. I have never had to question my gender identity or who I am or what I like and who I like. So I don't even understand the gravity of the universe. I'm assuming you're homosexual, even if you're not. Whoever you're talking about, I can't even fathom what your universe is. But it's not even a discussion in terms of being homophobic is like being bigoted or being classist or being racist. It's the same thing. It's you believe that a certain group of people should be treated lesser than how you're treated because of the way they are. It's as simple as that. So you can call it homophobic or racist or bigoted. So fundamentally, obviously, that's wrong. And I just hate to break it to you, Par, but the world is a pretty shitty place. But what's amazing in that shittiness, there are few trinkets of gold, which are people who love you and accept you for who you are. And if you find them, hold on to them like a parachute jumping out of a plane. You might have 100 people in your life who are pieces of shits, but if you have 2 people who are nice and sweet and love you for who you are, that's all you need and that's all you'll get. And ferociously protect them and value them, and just hope to God that they will stick around. And because it's also not their job to stick around, but if they do, awesome, and count your stars. But if they don't, it's all right. And Parv, I'm sorry you're going through all of this. I don't have a solution to this because I have friends of mine who don't like people of a certain religion, and I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know what to tell them because they are more than their hate, right? But it's so difficult to ignore it. So what do? Do I stop talking to them because they have an aspect of their personality which is below basic humanity and fundamentals of life? Or do I ignore that and just focus on the good parts about them? I don't know the answer. I'm struggling with it. You are actually suffering on the forefront because it concerns you, right? So I don't know, Parvan. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer. All I can say is the saddest answer, which is focus on the positive. If you have friends or distant relatives who accept you for who you are, just be close to them and find the, I don't know, kindness in your heart to forgive the people who are being shitty to you. And I'm sorry. This was a depressing note by Kenny Sebastian. I would like to know what you guys think about Par's question, because do you just cut people off? Because in the comments, people said cut them off. And I was like, what do you do if it's your dad or mom or your brother or sister, right? It's not that simple. I have not found a solution yet. So it's for the bigoted thing, but what to do? Vanessa asks, hey Kenny, do you have a target for getting married by a certain age? My boyfriend and I have a 4-year age gap and he wants to get married by next year. And I don't think I'll be ready to get married by then. I'm 23 and unemployed. I love unemployed. I ideally prefer to have some amount of savings. I'm really happy that you think it's bad to be unemployed because some people don't even give a shit. I ideally prefer to have some amount of savings before being married. Oh, fair. Completely agree with you. However, he won't seem to understand my side of the issue and feels like I have commitment issues. P.S. We have been dating for 9 months. What the shit? 9 months and already. Wait, dude. Both of you wait. Relax. You're 23, right? So he's 27. Hey, he has enough time. He doesn't have a biological clock. Ask him to shut the shit up and wait. Wait at least for a year. Nothing will happen in a year. And this commitment issue thing, no, please introspect a little bit more, because I used to think I don't have commitment issues. Then in my 20s, mid 20s, I realized I did. Because I was like, I'm super romantic and I'm super into commitment and old school relationships. And then when I went for therapy, as I was talking, I realized I'm commitment phobic when it comes to marriage, because a relationship is very easy to do when you're not married. I do agree though, if you want to be financially stable for a while, take that time, but do not. There's a wonderful TED talk whose name I obviously don't remember. 20s is not the new 30s or some shit like that, or 30s is not the new 20s. She basically said that growing up, a lot of people tell you 20s is experiment, take your time, and 30s is when you should make your decisions. But she was talking about how it's completely wrong. 20s are your most pivotable. It's the pivoting table. It's the most pivotal period in your life, because 20s is when you put the building blocks for the decisions in your life. And by the time you're 30, it's irreversible. And you have a finite amount of time to focus on your career and your relationship. You have maybe from 19 to 28. That's what I feel. Okay, this is what I feel. That's the kind of period you have, because you date someone, you want to date them at least 2-3 years before you know you're going to spend the rest of your life with them. You can't do that 10 times. That's like what, 3 into, that's 30 years. You can't do that. You can't have 10 relationships, 3 years each, right? So in your 20s, be very, 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 very mindful of the person you're dating and the job you're doing. And if you're not settled by 30, there is some serious issue going on. I don't mean you have to be rich, but at least know which profession or field you want to be in. Figure that out. And if you think 10 years of your prime is not enough, then there's something off. You have 18 to 30 to only focus on your career and only focus on relationship. Both. Yes, you have to do both. You can't push off one for the other. So that also kind of clarifies your decision. If you're like, I want to figure out my job, then I want to figure out my personal life, that doesn't work that way. Because if you don't think about both of them at the same time, your job is going to make sure you don't have a personal life, and your personal life is going to make sure you don't have a job. So you have to constantly think of both of them as being connected. My advice to Vanessa is wait for a year and then seriously decide if this is the dude that I think it's not that hard to know overall if this is the person you have to marry. Because my simple logic is, if I'm dating someone, I'm like, can you imagine her as the mother of your kids? And that really, really clears out a lot of doubt. And even if you don't want to have kids, then I can't help you, because for me, marriage and family is about having kids and bringing them up. That's my idea of marriage and family. I guess it gets more complicated. I think if you don't want to have kids, then you can take forever, Vanessa. Just take your time. But I think this kids, unfortunately, obviously adds that biological clock thing, which again, I can't even imagine what universe I would be in if my body had a ticking clock. So I think, Vanessa, in closing, I would say ask another woman for advice, but tell your boyfriend to relax. Chuma is 27, he's freaking out. Samir Sukumaran says, hi Kenny, love your long recording of you talking, helping me maintain my sanity during the lockdown. My question is, do you believe in karma? Do you think that if someone has done anything bad to you emotionally, that karma finds them and gets it squared off? Or do you think these people can escape? Is karma just a way to make ourselves be patient and focus on other stuff? Enlighten us, Kenny. I really like this question because he's also very self-aware. Though if there's one thing I believe in, which is not logical or rooted in scientific facts or reasoning, is karma. Dude, I can't explain it. But karma has wrapped around me like a little snake, and it's covered all my private parts. That makes no sense. Karma is so prominent in my life. I'm not kidding, guys. I don't break traffic rules. There have been moments where once I broke a red light, On the left turn, there was a cop who caught me once. It's bizarre. Like, that freaked me out. Every time I have done something bad to someone, it's always come back to haunt me. Not even bad, just being rude or impolite or unkind for no reason. So I broke that red light for no reason. But I've not noticed karma happening to me when I have reacted to someone confronting me or doing something bad to me. So that's also one thing I really believe in. And I think how I logically convince myself is that maybe if I didn't believe in karma and I accepted the fact that you could do bad shit and nothing happens to you, that's too sad. And that's a horrible world. And I don't want to believe that. So I think this is my coping mechanism that no, they will get their dues. But I've definitely seen people who are doing some horrible shit and living wonderful lives. But I don't know, man. Like, I like the idea of karma. It's quite soothing. It's very symmetrical. It also has great side effects. You will end up being a kind person. So why not believe in karma, right? I think if everyone believes in karma, karma is also the same philosophy that's literally in every religion, that treat yourself like you would treat your neighbor. So it's such a beautiful, simplistic way of living life, and just apply to everything. And societies are better that way. Governments are better that way. What is ecological balance? It's literally that you are in sync and in synergy with your surrounding. So if you believe in karma, if you harm someone for no reason, you are disturbing karma. So yeah, I think it's just a great ideology, and I can get behind that. And I love the concept of karma and yin and yang and balance, and I love that stuff. It really resonates with everything I believe in. That the more you put, the more you receive. The less you put, the less you receive. The more aware you are, the more opportunities open up. The less aware you are, the less things happen to you. And it's a nice cool thing. And I'm really glad you asked me this question, because I wanted to talk about karma. Some comments said, I thought you were talking about Kunal Kamra. I'm like, how infamous has Kunal Kamra become? Every comic dreams of becoming as infamous as him. That chap is just too funny. Shri Mangalam asks, this is a question. Shri Mangalam has asked a question that has got 199 likes. So you guys are dying to talk about this. The world does not value generalists. It values specialists. A specialist doctor, lawyer, investor, accountant, coder, or whatever nearly always does better than the generalist. So make sure you're great at one in-demand thing. Live it, breathe it, get known for it. What do you think about this statement? What if one fails to be a specialist and turns to be a generalist? I would love to know your opinion on this advice. Although I know this is strictly no advice podcast, but still, it's not a podcast. Sri Mangalam, I don't know where you stand on this topic. You seem very aggressive. Maybe it's just how you have written it. I have a very simple answer for you. Go to hospital with heart pain and they give you two options, a heart specialist or a generalist. Which doctor would you choose? If you choose heart specialist, you have answered the question. This is not about status indifference that generalists are not given respect and specialists. Dude, you're talking about basic logic. A human being has 70, 80 years of a lifespan to be good at something. If you specialize and focus in one thing, you might get good at it. Good enough to be called a professional, good enough to help other people. Being a journalist basically means not spending enough time on a certain skill. So you won't be good at it. So it's not about being unfair or fair. You're talking about, this is what you're saying. People favor people who complete the 21K marathon instead of people who do 7 2-kilometer marathons. It's like, those are two completely different things. One person has chosen to spend time and complete a thing. Why are you hating them on completing a thing? And being a journalist is doesn't make sense, right? Because you will be good at something more than the other thing. So there was a lot of interesting replies. But for example, if you're really, 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 really good at making a product, and that product becomes very successful, you will have to learn about marketing a little bit, business management a little bit, working with employees, and just the market and customer acquisition. You have to learn a little bit, but you're still a specialist in making a product. So your question is actually just not based on a sound bed of reasoning, because you it's not the conflict is not generalist versus specialist. It's very hard to be a specialist. That's why they're valued more, and that's why there are less of them. Do you think you have the discipline to become a pilot? Because the moment you hear pilot, you know for a fact that, or a doctor, that you have to read so much, you have to practice so much, that you will give up halfway. Hence, there are very, very, very few. Also, there's how expensive it is. Very, very few pilots, very, very few doctors. And most of us do hotel management, so, or arts, or whatever, because it's easier. So, but we need specialists. And thank God there are people in the world who dedicated their lives to learning one thing and painfully going through it. And I'm glad they're being handsomely paid for it. So good for them. I want specialists to be paid more, because their services add way more value than generalists do. So yeah, I don't know what the purpose was. It to start a rift? Abhinav Singh. It's a very cute question. Kenny, why is that when stand-up comedians are doing a show, even if it's a Netflix/Amazon special, they always talk on wired mics? That's a great question. It's going to sound very stupid. It's because we're used to it. Also, Michael McIntyre is a huge comic from the UK who does not use a wired mic. Biswa Special Sushi, he did a head mic. I had the option of doing head mic, but when you tour, right, there's a romanticism to having a wired mic. And if you've seen the special in the end, I do the cuddling joke. There's a joke where I unravel the mic. I don't know, man. There's like a certain purity and visual style that is attached to holding a mic when it comes to stand-up comedy, right? When you see a stand-up comedian's profile picture, it's not with the headset mic like this. He looks like an evangelist otherwise. It's a guy with a wired mic. So it's just the romanticism of having a mic and feeling like a comedian. I like wired mics for another reason as well. Even though wireless mics are great, nothing beats analog. Having a physical connection to the sound receiver means less tech issues. Suddenly you won't get a connection, like a battery won't die, connection won't be lost. So wired mic is just a safe bet to go. So when you tour around the country, 9 out of 10 times the sound guys just use wired mic and don't use the wireless mic. Wireless mic, something is wrong. So just out of habit. There was another question that was there for the previous podcast that I didn't answer, was what is the purpose of a director on a special? If the comedian has rehearsed so much and he's done the same joke 100 times, why do we need a director? Well, when on YouTube you ask a question saying, bro, when is next stand-up video? You are forgetting you're talking about three things. You're talking about A, live production, B, the art of stand-up comedy, and C, video production. So when you see a simple thing like stand-up video when coming, it is actually three things. If someone has to do a stand-up video, they have to know how to do stand-up. So they have to spend months going to open mics, writing jokes, and coming up with a 5 or 10 minute bit. Second, now comes live production. They have to go to a venue, they have to hire 3 to 4 cameras, which all cost money, and then they have to record it. And hopefully that day the show went well and the jokes went well. So they have to get a director for that. Why do you have to get a director for that? Because you might not notice, but your stand-up clip is going from close-up to mid to wide to audience shot. All of that is direction. When that's coming in, the edit for that, all is where a director comes in. And finally, the third process is video production, which is obviously shooting it and then editing it and then doing sound mixing. color correction, titles, all of that. So it's 3 things you're asking when you say stand-up video when bro. You're doing stand-up show, why can't you just put video? You have to do 3 things, 3 fields. So you need a stand-up comedian, you need a live production person, and you need a film production person. So for example, my special, I had a creative director. Someone's calling actually. It's my cook, but I'll call her back. She's not coming home, so I don't know why she's calling me. I think she misses me. Anyway, so Neville and Anshuman. Anshuman was the technical director and Neville was the creative director. I had 2 directors for my special. Anshuman was there on the day of the shoot, making sure that everything is going smoothly in terms of technical aspects. While Neville was there from day 1 of when we planned the production, which meant set design, art design, light design. I had my manager who was touring with me, who also Oswal, who was also the light technician for my special. Then we had Desmond, who's actually a light technician. Then we have Vasani, who's the director of photography, DOP, who's going to make sure that my stand-up angles match the intensity and the way I'm moving around stage. You don't even realize, but I'm moving a lot on stage. Some comics just stand in the center and just perform, which camera guys love because they don't have to do much work. But I was a nightmare. I used to keep moving because I will act a scene out. I will move for voices. I have light changes, so the light goes from super bright to super dark. So the camera guys have to change the exposure, the white balance, blah, 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 all of that. And with the special, we had to send it to color grading, to prime focus and sound mixing. So I sat in a room where my jokes were being played in 5.1 surround. It's just so painful to hear it so many times. What is my cook has texted? She has sent a voice message. I will listen to her later. Man, she really misses me. So yeah, all of that goes into the process of making a video, and that's why you have a director. It's the same amount of work to make a stand-up special than is to shoot anything else. It's actually harder because stand-up special has to be shot live. When you shoot fiction, you can take 1 take and then cut it. But in stand-up, you have to, oh man, I didn't even talk about managing the audience. We have a live audience. They are not paid, contrary to most popular beliefs. They have paid money to see a show. So we have to give them the show experience. We have to warm them up. We have to make sure that we don't delay the production too much, that the audience gets tired. It's a lot of, man, I'm just getting tired thinking about it. All of that goes into it. And while all this is happening, I have to stay calm and be positive and make sure I give it my best. The worst is when you perform and that day, the day you filmed, you had a lackluster performance. That shit hurts, man. That shit hurts. Anyway, that brings me to the end of this episode of Simple Ken. You guys have been very sweet and thank you for the questions you asked. And next week will be episode 12. I have taken questions from Instagram as well. So please, I know this sounds like I'm promoting the Instagram page, but the Simple Ken podcast page, if you write questions there, it makes it easier for me to find them, because right now on YouTube, there's a lot of random comments and then hidden in them is your question. You could do both. I'm just saying that it makes it easier for me if you could go to the Instagram page, which is Simple Ken Podcast, and write your question there. Only question there, so I know to go there. So thank you for that. You can listen to the audio version on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you want. And hope your lockdown is good. And thank you for being very sweet. The last episode got a lot of love. So you guys been very sweet. I really like doing this. So thank you for being here, guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye, tata.
It's time for simple.